What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the We Sport podcast. And today we're going to be doing our special Washington Commander show, Commanding Takes. And I just want to thank you guys for the last episode. You guys did great. We hit one of our another nice little milestone on our on our Commanding Takes. So I really appreciate it. We got 100 views and whatnot, so we appreciate it. You guys just keep watching. We're going to keep dishing out weekly content. Guys are probably wondering why Chris looks all bundled up. He's like, oh, he's on the COVID reserve. Chris, are you feeling good?
Kind of feeling a little under the weather, but we still here trying to push out content. So
Yeah. Yeah. So, guys, the big thing that we need to talk about is the man, the myth himself, Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson. Now, I think we said in the preview of the Washington, and Chris just went okay, of the Washington and Panthers game, we discussed that could Brian Robinson potentially take the number one spot away from Gibson. And I just thought and then plus when I asked that question to Chris, it was more of a hypothetical. It wasn't like, I wanted Gibson to get benched, but after the preseason game and all the rumors we're hearing out of camp about Gibson running with the punt team and the third team, which at the end of the day, that may mean something and it may not mean anything at all. It just depends on what they want to use him for. So, Chris, what are your thoughts about this whole Gibson and Brian Robinson situation going on in Washington?
I think that what first off, what shocked me was Ron Rivera coming out and saying that it's open, and saying that Gibson doesn't have the job on lock. You know what I'm saying? I didn't expect that for him to come out at least and publicly say that. But I think that it's still Gibson's job to lose. I think that is it safe that Brian Robinson might take the spot? Maybe. Is it better than Brian Robinson to take his spot? Maybe. But I think that it's more of a them trying to teach Antonio Gibson a lesson that his position isn't safe. His position isn't guaranteed on as the starting running back on the team. And we have a guy that can step in if he continues to do what he is doing and continue to play how he's played. And 6 fumbles last year. Started off this year with a fumble. He wasn't running hard in the preseason game. Been injured most of the off season. The thing is that it's more of them. I think it's more of them trying to discipline Gibson. I mean, like, think about it. He's ran with the third team the last couple of days. He's ran with punt, kickoff. Like, we all know he's not going to actually play those. So it's
Right.
more of them trying to discipline Gibson and let him know that his position isn't guaranteed and he needs to step it up, or at least, or Brian Robinson will take his spot. But I think that Brian Robinson should be the workhorse back, honestly, and I think that Antonio Gibson should be used more of a Curtis Samuel, because coming out of college, he was that dynamic player, like, such as Curtis Samuel. He tried to make the switch to running back. And I feel like he just doesn't have elite the running back techniques. He doesn't have the great vision. He doesn't have the great ball handling. And, he can still develop that. But I think at the end of the day, until that happens, you got to use his versatility all around the field, inside the slot, out, maybe sometimes outside a couple plays, outside receiver. You can use him in the backfield still. Like, you got to use him all over the field.
Right, right, and I agree, and for those who don't know, I love Antonio Gibson. I think I always kept saying he's a top 12. Now I would say he's top 12, top 15 every single time. I love Antonio Gibson, but it's just, man, like if the fumbles can't be fixed, and the problem is that Washington in the past has usually had good stints of running backs, but then they kind of just fade off and then we breed someone else to be better. Like, we went from Alfred Morris, and then from Morris we went to Chris Thompson. Then from Chris Thompson we went to Darius Geist. Now from Geist to Gibson. Could it be from Gibson to B-Rob? I don't know. I really want to see a running back on our team stick around, but it's not like we're bad at, I guess, breeding running backs. I don't know if that does that make sense. Like, we're not bad at making running backs good, but like I don't know. So now I was watching today on it was an episode of a buddy of mine's podcast. He said, was talking that Carson Wentz could be doing Carson Wentz things, and we could be seeing Carson Wentz get benched at some point in the season. So Chris, my question for you is, could you see Sam Howell at any point in time in the regular season?
Um, if that happened, it would be that the season is already thrown away. We're eliminated fairly early in the season, from eliminated from playoff contention fairly early in the season.
Mhm.
and they just throw Sam Howell in to see what he got and to develop him and get him some game experience.
Mhm.
That's the only way Sam Howell plays, because I don't see, even if Carson Wentz is playing as bad as he can on a weekly basis,
Mhm.
he's not gonna be worse than Sam Howell on a weekly basis this year. So
Mhm.
there's no way that they would put Sam Howell over him with the season still
Yeah.
um, actually there for us to get a playoff spot.
Right. And we always have to forget, we always not forget, always have to remember we do have Taylor Heineke there also. So it's not like Sam Howell's even the go-to option if something even happens to Wentz, or if Wentz performs, you know, bad. And it maybe at some point, if Washington ends up playing bad, there could be a time where Washington fans are going to want Heineke just because Heineke knows the system better than Wentz does. And, that's really what it could be. And, and another thing I do want to discuss are these NFL power rankings on Washington, dude. It's like we upgrade at quarterback, but somehow with us getting kind of the most important position that we needed, minus maybe you could say corner or middle linebacker, we managed to get worse. And we're in 28th, 26th, 25th. Dude, I mean, I saw in the video today of the buddy of mine saying we're going 5-12, 6-11. I mean, what is with this stuff going on? I mean, what do you do? Do you think people are just not high on Wentz when Wentz took Indianapolis to a 9-win season? What is up with that?
I think a lot of people are low on Wentz. I feel like a lot of the casual NFL fans like to be fairly low on Carson Wentz. I don't think the Commanders go anything under 7. I think that if we go anything under 7, or even honestly, if we go anything under 8 wins this year, it's a terribly disappointing season, and all the staff should be on a hot seat.
Mm.
Um, I think that is just like, man, the power rankings was bad. We were behind multiple teams that we should have been better. Giants,
Jack,
Seahawks,
Detroit.
Jack, Detroit, Jets, I think. So it was a lot of teams we should have been ahead of on that power ranking list that they put us behind. I think it's more of a Commanders getting hate from the NFL per usual type of thing, and we'll just have to show them. I mean, the power rankings don't mean much to me. We'll just
Right.
have to show them coming.
Year in and year out, it's just we've seen that we not excel. I hate saying excel because we've only had 2 7-win seasons in the last 2 years, but we tend to get that seventh win, or we tend to just not do what the power rankings say that we do. And yeah, what I don't know, what not, but the NFL and everyone needs to just stop putting the disrespect. I've been seeing that we're gonna split with New York and all this other crap that doesn't even make any sense. But now we're going to talk about, I know it's going to be Chris's favorite topic, NFL 100 list. And now we did have a Washington player make this NFL 100 list. And for shockingly enough, it wasn't Terry McLaurin. It was Jonathan Allen. Well deserved. Thank God, the NFL starts recognizing true talent, because that's what Jonathan Allen is a true talented defensive tackle. Now you're gonna ask, well, where was Terry ranked? Well, Terry wasn't ranked. Terry didn't even make the list. It's ultimately disappointing. It's on this how it's a popular vote of the NFL players. I think if we're going off of skill-based NFL top 100, Terry McLaurin should be up there. Especially over a guy like, and Chris was saying this too earlier this week, over a guy like Odell Beckham, who only played 8 games this year. And yeah, you could say he had the playoff run stint, but it's just a popularity named base kind of, list. And yes, that's pointing the obvious, but it's just Terry's just and it shows a lot by the NFL that they're just not giving Terry McLaurin I guess the respect that he deserves. So I mean, Chris, do you have anything to add on to Terry not making top 100?
Um, First off, shout out to Jonathan Allen for making the list. He could have been a little higher too. I
Mhm.
know, I think he was at 88. Shout out. I mean, Terry McLaurin, he should have made the list. Odell Beckham shouldn't have made it over Terry McLaurin. One, I think he's not better than Terry McLaurin and right now, and I also think that he didn't play enough to meet the criteria. Jalen Waddle, I know that some people said his stats was better. I never looked at Jalen Waddle's stats, not gonna lie, but still, there's more to the game than stats. So I think that Terry McLaurin is still better than Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
I think the thing is, man, like you said, it's a popularity contest over what players are famous amongst the other players in the league, and OBJ is one of the most famous players in the league. So he's gonna make it every time as long as he can play a couple games. So
Yeah, no, it's I mean when it comes down to it, it's just pure disrespect onto a guy like Terry McLaurin who's been through a ton of QBs and is still performing at the high level. And to give like what Chris said, his what Jalen Waddle stats, he had 104 receptions last year, which ranked him eighth in the NFL. He had 1,015 yards, which ranked him 25th in the NFL. Had 6 TDs, which ranked him 25th, and average yards per, I guess, average yards per catch. I believe that's a stat. It was 9.8, which ranked him amongst the 100th criteria, or like 103rd place if you really want to get analytical of what place. So I mean, we're comparing him to a guy like Terry McLaurin, and as I said, stats, like Chris said, stats aren't always everything, but McLaurin last year finished with I'm pulling it up right now. McLaurin last year finished with 77 receptions, 1,053 yards, 5 TDs, and averaged 13.7 yards.
So, basically, like, Waddle had like 30 more receptions, and Terry McLaurin didn't even have 100 less yards, and he only had one less touchdown. I mean, the stats are better, but at the same time, I'm sure Terry McLaurin got way less receptions, so that probably means he got way less targets, and you know what I'm saying. So, and Waddle gets a lot of his stuff off of like sweeps, and sometimes the sweeps, if you like flick the ball, it can count as a pass. So.
Yeah. And again, and it shows too that when a guy like Waddle has 104 receptions, it shows that number one, he just gets the ball a lot on slant routes and all that. It ain't like these, and you have to realize, I mean, if we're looking at Jalen Waddle and Terry McLaurin, I mean, they're both deep threat guys. If we're really looking at it, it's just Waddle's getting, I guess, the shorter and plus you have to look at quarterbacks too. And I mean, Taylor, I will say, has probably a better arm than Tua Tagovailoa, and it's debatable, but like Tua has a better arm than not Tua. Heineke has a better arm than Tua. But I don't know. There should just be no excuse with that. I just think Terry was snubbed. It's just disrespect, but whatnot. But now, after with all that Washington news, we're going to get discussing on the game of the Washington Commanders and Kansas City Chiefs preseason week 2. Um, Looking forward to this game. It's just I'm looking to see another Sam Howell game. I want to see Sam Howell just go in and just do what he does and let him do what he has to do. Last game, well, not last game, yeah, last game, yeah, he performed the highest like amongst rookies with total yards and touchdowns and whatnot. I'd love to see him throw a passing TD though. I want to see how he can play make with throwing the ball. We've seen what he's done on his feet. I would like to see what he could do and passing the ball or whatnot. And another guy too, probably who else? Brian Robinson. I just want to see another good game from him. And I want to see Chris Paul, our guard that we drafted. He had a good first game too. I went back and looked at some little clips that he had too, and he had a pretty good game. So I'm really interested to see how these guys do. Chris, who are you looking out for this game?
Like Nico said, Sam Howell. So another Sam Howell game, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, I want to see more of Sam Howell. I want to see more of a little bit more of Brian Robinson before he just takes over and we have to sit him for the regular season. I want to see a little bit more of him. I want to see more of the tight end, Amani Rogers, out of I want to say Ohio, the rookie tight end. I want to see I want to see more Diami. Diami caught some passes last week. Want to see Jahan if he's going to play this week. I'm pretty sure he probably will. So I want to see a catch from Jahan, a catch or two. I saw a clip where Jahan was talking about how he was upset at himself for letting the guy hold him on the play, and the reporter was like, "You're upset at yourself for the guy cheating," and he was like, "Yeah." So it's just good to see how mature he is, but to not blame anything on anybody else. But yeah, Jahan does, and I want to see him catch a couple passes this time. I want to see him get targeted a couple times. Defense, I want to see more for Darian Mathis, Percy Butler, the Derek Forrest, and Jamin Davis.
I just want to see more just from our pass rush. If I'm being honest, I just want to see just us to get there and get a couple sacks. I know that Washington fans, we want to have this recognition, not recognition, have this recollect like I can't like we want to reminisce. That's the word I'm trying to use. Reminisce over the 2020 season, and we want to see our guys get these sacks, and we want to see what we were doing back then. But as time is adjusting, we need to kind of figure out that like that team is gone in the past, and we just need to focus on what we can do now. And I'm just really hoping that like with the guys like that we picked up, like Vidarian Mathis and some of our, other depth chart guys, and they could just really help us out. And I want to see pressure. Obviously, we don't have our full front seven, our healthy guys out there right now, but in the future, we're about around week 4, we get Chase back. Yeah, week 4 we get against Philly. No, Tennessee. It's Philly or Tennessee.
Possibly we get Chase Young back. The fastest would be week 4 versus Tennessee, but I don't think that's too much guaranteed. I think it's probably I don't think it's just I wouldn't just bet on it. I don't think it's just safe to bet on him playing week 4, but I think the earliest we could definitely have him be week 4 Titans.
Yeah. And we have to just remember too that, last year when Chase Young did go down, our defense, I'm saying this again because I don't want everyone to worry, but our front seven did step up a lot when Chase Young went down, to the point where we had like a top 10 rushing defense, rushing defense or whatever. We had a top 10 run defense in the league. So, it's good that we see guys stepping up. So I'm really interested to see guys like Casey Hill step up, who one of those guys was James Smith-Williams, another rotational guy that really helped us. Yeah, Chris ain't really a fan of James Smith-Williams.
No. James Smith-Williams, cool. Casey Hill is.
Yeah, but I'm just talking on like when Chase Young was out, we had those rotational guys to give Montez that break or give Duran that break, et cetera. But I think that's gonna do it for today, Chris. You think that's gonna be doing it for today?
Yeah, man, I'm dead.
Yeah, Chris gotta go recover, guys. But we're gonna be dropping the link down to a podcast that we're doing together on another show called 4-Man Blitz. I'm gonna be leaving the link down below in the description, so make sure you go check it out. I'll leave Chris's stuff. I'll leave if y'all want to just donate to Chris so he can go get some Zero Sprite, for the rest of his COVID reserve. And we'll see you guys on the recap on Saturday, and let's go Commanders.